It's been almost a full, well, actually, it's been over a full year since we last spoke formally. And I think that interview now kind of seems like an entire world away. What has happened between then and now? The whole release of the album, multiple live shows, and probably some of the biggest acclaims an Australian hardcore band has received in recent years. And I know back in our chat before, we talked a lot how about that ethos was continuously being pushed and sometimes questioned as you propelled further and further onwards. And I think after the release of Only One Mode, that of course is such a suitable notion. So I guess for you, what was the most polarizing moment throughout that entire album cycle that you found?
I think, yeah, like you said, since the album came out, like I think some of the biggest like triumphs for the band have occurred. We haven't stopped touring, I think, since we last spoke,
Mhm.
and that's been an awesome experience. Like we've really seen the impact of the album in real time unfolding in front of us. Stuff like winning an ARIA and playing Coachella and stuff are awesome, like little things that like I won't even call them bucket list things because they're not things that we ever really set out to do, but
Mhm.
they're awesome triumphs as I said. So like we've continued to really kind of like have this experience kind of just blow our minds constantly, but at the same time, I think new challenges that we never anticipated have popped up as well. We've obviously even before the album cycle, I think we've been dealing with a lot of hurt and a lot of tragedy in our close kind of friendship circle. And even this year, we've been dealing with that a lot as well. And I think just a lot of other challenges that come with being on the road. Being away from our family, trying to deal with the distance of relationships with the closest people in your life, and having some stuff like that break down, and just
Mhm.
our relationships with one another have been I think tested a lot at times as well. So I think that kind of spells out the distance between living these really really highs one day, and then the next day you're receiving the worst news of your life over the phone. Like it it is a really difficult thing to kind of navigate.
Absolutely. And I did want to touch on that. Of course, the instances that have occurred have been truly grounding. And it's such a reminder of kind of the lack of grasp we have on things in life. Yet, when you look at this EP, you've taken grief in with open arms and allowed it to flourish. And I think what moment for you did grief become empowerment rather than something that stopped you? What made it tick?
Like Josh said that we've gone through like the biggest highs of our lives at the same time, juxtaposed with the lowest lows in the last 2 years.
Mm,
Uh, and the whole thing that we're describing here is just going through a journey together without generalizing too much. And I think without, I don't know how to put this any better, without having some practice with grief, moving on through life with like kind of lost quite a few people,
mm,
which has instigated a lot of reflection and a lot of process of reevaluating meaning. And with the most recent loss of our friend Ajay earlier this year, it was feelings that were you never get used to, but this time around I was very, very present to the feeling of clarity amidst all of the confusion and the
mm,
hurt and the devastation. I I remember sitting down in the days after the news, kind of being beside myself, but weirdly feeling more alive than ever.
mm.
And I was saying this to like my partner and the other guys, feeling like I feel so alive right now. And I was sitting with that feeling for a while and thinking, why? Like why I should be, I expect myself to just be defeated by this. And upon reflecting it or sitting with that thought for a while, I realized that it was because all of the values that speed, and when I say speed, I just mean ourselves as friends and people, that we've chosen to harness and latch onto and also export through our art have been doubled down or tenfold.
Mhm.
Because when I think about when I try and give myself a reason or an answer as to why we've lost someone and how it could happen, the meaning has always come, the feeling has always come back to gratitude of having them in our lives and being grateful for investing so much into each other without regret throughout that entire relationship. And that's really the best, all we can do as human beings is just do our best and choose our best and walk through those values. And we know that we've done that with each of the people that we've lost. And so walking away from grief, we felt so much more conviction of these things like about unconditional love and loyalty, brotherhood and sisterhood. These values we've always preached, they become even more real when you literally see people come and go with those. And as much hurt as we've gone through, sorry, despite going through so much hurt, as I said, like these instances have brought so many people together, bonding together in a time of loss, and it's really, really, I think in the process of grief, it's brought us closer to a greater sense of meaning.
Mhm. And I think it's interesting when you say that, that essence of community that came about. I don't think there's someone within this community that wasn't touched by it, but it's very, it's rewarding, but it also takes a lot of strength to talk about something like this, especially musically and putting it out there and openly. Was there ever a internal battle of kind of wanting to grieve in private, or was it always a response of wanting to share this story and seize these, lessons and endeavor through conviction?
I think in a lot of ways we did grieve in private as well. Unfortunately, with RJ, we were on tour when everything happened, so we were kind of forced into a position where we had to maybe share a little bit more than we were comfortable with about the situation, just because of the way that everything unfolded. But I think that ultimately, like when we talk about the friends that we've lost, when we talk about RJ, we talk about Tom, and we talk about Alex, these are all people who the bond that we had with them was formed over this music, and we developed it through the life of the band.
Mm,
Alex was with us when we went to Sound and Fury for the first time, which is to this day maybe the most important moment of his band's career. Tahmid was like such a mentor to us. He was in the studio the entire time we were recording the LP. He took so many photos with us. Like we took him on video shoots and stuff all the time. Like he was somebody that really helped us develop the philosophy of the band, I think. And RJ was somebody that also traveled with us across the world and, was so present at our shows and on stage with us singing and moshing, and somebody that we met. Like we wouldn't know RJ if it wasn't for Speed. You know what I
mm,
mean? And so naturally, like with the music of our band being kind of the vehicle that we use to develop this bond with these people, like I think it's only appropriate that we explore the feelings that the loss of them
mm.
created in us, like through the music as well.
Absolutely. And I guess, Jem, I wanted to take a direct note to you for a second because, from a musical standpoint, we've seen you impassioned before, of course, we've seen you angry. You sound so different. Your tone, especially in the All My Angels track, it's so jarring and haunting, and it's drenched in this unknown layer of your sound. Like, I feel like we haven't heard it before. Were you a bit present of like you changed a little bit, or did you hear the recording back and it was just, pure emotion? Did you know it was a little different?
What you hear in the record is just what came naturally at the time.
Mm,
It wasn't something that I necessarily planned.
mm,
When we're writing the music, the instrumentals come first and then with the vocals in mind, but I'm not really yelling per se over the riff like in real time as the song's being made. But the way that and in that sense, I think that the delivery of the vocals is really informed by the lyrics.
mm,
Um, as Josh said, like the lyrics and the whole art is purely informed by our circumstance and the experience that we're going through. Um, and in that sense, that the lyrics are very, very cathartic more than ever.
mm,
Uh, but from a musical standpoint as well, like I'm very, very influenced by a lot of iconic like New York hardcore vocalists, especially from the 90s. And I think people who are aware of some of the influences would also kind of be able to draw like a slight line between my interpretation of that. And I think that's coming out a little bit more in some of these songs too. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, with all this going on, I know sometimes it's incredibly hard to self-reflect. But if you had to take a moment now, what do you think you're most proud of yourself within the last year, whether it be musically, whether it be personal endeavor or growth? What, if you sit with it, what are you most proud of yourself for achieving within the last year?
For me personally, it is the friendships that we have and how they currently sit
Mhm.
amidst everything that we've gone through. As Josh said, like it has been a lot of ups and downs. And I think people mostly see all of the ups a
Mhm.
lot. And obviously those things are going to bolster any friendship. It's so easy to be best friends when everything's amazing, right?
Mhm.
Um, but there are a lot of things. This whole experience, especially in the last year, has been very challenging for us because we care about all of this so much. It's literally the most important thing in our lives that we think about every waking second of the day. It informs every relationship in and out of the band. The band is not even speed, it's literally an all-encompassing vocation for each of us. And I know that all of the experiences from the highs and lows in the last year and 2 years have just made us even closer in our relationships with one another. And and that is to me is the greatest triumph of everything. Just knowing that like it's like a it's like a it's like the shiniest trophy I could ever hold up. Just being able to stand there with my bros, and also my sisters, who are up there
Yeah.
with us. Just the whole team, not just in speed, just the whole speed team. So yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
think
what it is for me.
on top of that as well, like the friendships continue to just develop even deeper than they have, but at the same time as well, like the further things go with this band, the more we can watch everybody's individual strengths develop as well. And
Mhm.
I think that especially in the last year, just with things moving the way that they have, like we've been able to bring so much more out of the people around us and give them so much more power and allow them to develop. So like Jack Rutter, who has made every single video clip that Speed's ever done, has toured with us for the last 2, 3 years, is in South Korea right now doing a like photo gallery exhibition with Nike. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
for him to be living that as an individual artist and for us to have helped empower him and like have him on this journey with us, like that brings me so much pride to be able to say that he's doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the same goes for everybody within the band and everybody immediately orbiting it. Like I don't know, I just watching everybody succeed and develop their own craft is a huge triumph to me.
Absolutely. And it's
Yeah,
beautiful. Yeah.
it's by far that's yeah, yeah.
One of the most powerful communities, I think, within the scene and beyond. Now, I could yap your ear off all day, but I do think I've taken up my 15 minutes. So I'm not sure if
If
I
it,
do.
I'm
Yeah,
chilling personally. If you've got more questions, I'm down to keep going.
Oh, really?
Totally up to you guys.
yeah,
Okay.
If
Well,
you
yeah. No, no, no rush.
okay, cool. Well, I guess slightly what Josh we were speaking about just moments before we started. I did want to touch on some of the shows from before, particularly these all ages shows that happened. I was at the Factory Theatre show, which was perhaps one of the craziest, rowdiest shows I've seen, including children having to be held back from crowd surfing and stage diving. You've obviously been championing all ages for a while, but was there a certain standout moment from these shows for you that you just, can't get out of your head?
For me, and I think I can speak for all of us. Like, it took us a couple of years to do our first all ages show in Australia, and that's just because the hurdles
Mm,
to book one in 2025 are like way bigger than they were like t compared to 10, 20 years ago. Um, with I think last year it may have been like one of the first, or like, it was maybe 3 years ago. It was like our first all ages show. And anyways, in a nutshell, we've been able to see kids come to their first ever hardcore show at being a speed show at the age of 13 or 15, wearing a Guns N' Roses tee, and then 6 months later see them again and they're wearing a No Apologies tee with a dry fit. And then 6 months after that, they're wearing a Cold as Life tee and they're like moshing to like a breakdown cover and singing all the words. And now like X'd up and everything, you know. Uh what I'm saying is on this last tour, we're noticing kids and realizing that we're watching them go through the process of falling in love with hardcore in real time and grow
Mhm.
through it. And that is also one of the most fulfilling things because for people like Josh and I, who largely like formed our entire identities through going to shows at that age together and just figured out and navigated the world together as young kids, like, and who are now reaping all the benefits of these kind of friendships and experiences like in our mid-30s. Like that's the craziest thing. Just see kids really just find out about it for the right reasons and love it. So that was really apparent on this last tour.
And I love as well, I saw obviously throughout the crowd, there was like a plethora of like parents and child combos. Like obviously they came together. At not one point was any parent concerned. It was like, get in there, do what you need to do. It was so beautiful. It's such a trusty environment that, regardless of anything else that comes from it, like they know that there is safety within this room. And I think that's such a beautiful thing as well. And seeing some like 8-year-olds smack down harder than other people in there is also kind of crazy.
I'm glad that they're cool with it because I'm not gonna lie, like I get nervous seeing the kids like there. So if the parents are cool with it, then that makes me feel a lot better.
Absolutely. And I guess just to touch on one of the things we haven't spoken about much. I know obviously the essence of music and hardcore, it's never about the acclaim, never about the award. However, as champions of Australian hardcore, winning that ARIA and getting up there in the face of a lot of people who generally, turn their noses up at harder sounds and don't often invite these sounds into their environment. Did that become a bit of a solidification of, what you are trying to do for hardcore and bring it to the forefront?
For sure. I mean, yeah, like you acknowledged, it's not like any sort of acclaim that validates like what we're doing in terms like in the hardcore world, I guess. But it is awesome to see like the style represented in a space like that and recognized by like the broader industry. But I think for us, the most valuable thing about that was just that it's something that we can celebrate with our friends that we've worked on this stuff with for so long. You know what I mean? Like one of the most rewarding things about that whole experience for me was we had Tom from Last Ride Records, who's like me and Gem's best friend, who we've like encouraged to start a label for years, and then he finally did, and now he runs, in my mind, the most awesome Australian hardcore label right now. And
Mm.
having him there with us and up on the stage with us to accept the award was awesome. And then like in the coming days, going onto Facebook and seeing his dad like sharing that accolade because he was so proud like of his son's work. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
stuff like that to me is the reason for doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Having Elliot up there who we've known since we were 12, Jem and Elliot went to high school with, he was the first person to learn how to record music and he has recorded everything that Speed's done and tours with us doing sound. Like that's a huge acknowledgement for his work. And it justifies the belief that we have in him, I think.
Mm.
And just kind of shows that the rest of the world can recognize how talented our friends are, just like we can. I think that was kind of the best part about the whole experience.
100%. It's
Mm.
like Josh said, it's not necessarily validation for like our people here, but for like our moms and dads back at home, they're like, holy shit, oh, it's real now. You know what I'm saying? And it it is this feeling because like we probably talked about this in previous interviews, but like for the longest time, like we've known our friends for so fucking long since we were kids. Like we know
Mm.
the potential. We to us like they're the most talented people in the world. It's just that we just never had the light kind of shone on us. And to finally see that being recognized by like people who are in higher positions or whatever, out there and be like, yeah, this is actually this guy made the best record. You know what I mean? This producer made the best record. This label released the best record. It's like, yeah, fucking oath they did. Like, and
Yeah.
I fucking knew it all this whole time. And they, there we go. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
just yeah, it's so validating because there's so many stages where we could have just like many other bands maybe jump to a bigger label or jump to a
Hmm.
different producer or whatever. But we're like, these are our fucking people, and it's just crazy validation.
Of course. As well, along with that, one of the things I loved watching the most from the past year was the Coachella vlogs. The Speed Burger, another crazy triumph, I guess. Can you wholeheartedly say that the Speed Burger was the best thing on that menu?
We can't lie to you right now. That was the only burger we tried. So
Yeah.
as far as we're aware, it was the best. But
Not
sample size was
sponsored. Yeah.
pretty small. But it was really good.
Of
Coachella
course.
prices are like fucking. I was not paying for anything else on that menu.
Heaven forbid they give an artist a free burger, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
it was good.
Anyway, I guess that's all I have time for today. Thank you for letting me stay back and chat. That was good.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Georgia.
thanks, Georgia. Good to see you again.